that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Elements from Rampage Games. This is for 2 to 4 players, ages 12 plus. It'll take you about 25 minutes to play, and in Elements, you are going to be taking cards and taking gems and trying to complete various different substances in order to gain victory points. Along the way, you're going to be chucking dice and taking some different actions. What am I talking about? Let's open it up, and I'll show you. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Elements. First and foremost, we got our handy dandy rule booklet. It's about 8 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, and it's pretty poorly done. You're going to be coming back to this, scratching your head, trying to figure out exactly how this game works, because there's so many illogical things in this game, but I'll talk more about that all in the pros and the cons. So, in this game, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get 10 points. You're going to gain points by creating these substances right here. You will be able to create these substances by gathering these elements. So you got your biggies, you got like your wind, your fire, your earth, your water, but then you're also going to have secondary substances like electricity and oil and other things like that. You'll be able to acquire these by collecting gems over here for your primary substances. So you got like water and earth, and I think that one's fire. And then also you're going to have some purple gems out here, which are called meta gems, which can be wild card gems, and they're very difficult to get in theory, but in actuality they're not. But we might be playing the game wrong, but that's because we read the rule booklet. But anywho, we'll talk more about that in the pros and cons. There's going to be 2 kinds of cards also. There's going to be substance cards, and there's going to be elements cards. These are the substance cards right here. There'll be a couple different kinds of substances. They'll score you various different amount of points, and some of them will even give you bonuses when you complete them. So for instance, if you complete this card, it's worth 4 points, and you get 2 gems. Some of them only require secondary substances like that. And those ones are really good to get because when you first start creating your substance, you can only start off by playing 1 element your very first turn, as long as it's a primary element. So for this one, you could play water, and you couldn't play anything else, but then the next turn, you could play these 2 and complete the substance. So, last but not least, you're going to get element cards, and as you probably guessed, they're going to have various different things on it. There are various different cards in here. So as you can see, you got metal, fire, water, earth, so on and so forth. You got your meta ones. And what you're going to be trying to do is, on your turn, you are going to draw 1 card, and then you're going to immediately roll the dice. Now, when you roll the dice, we have a 3 and a 1. You're going to get to pick which one of those options you want to do. And this is all in the back of the rule booklet. So draw 1 card from the deck, or you can randomly choose another player's card in hand, and then give them 1 card from your hand. So you can either swap-a-roo randomly, or you could just draw a card for yourself. Also, if you get doubles, then you get to do whatever that dice outcome is, and you get to steal another gem from another player. Once you've done that, you've drawn a card and you've rolled the dice and taken that action, you can proceed to place cards right down here. For instance, we need a water, so we can place this water right here, and that would pretty much be the end of our first turn. Now, the game says you can do it at your own discretion, so you can end your turn whenever you want. Not quite sure what that means, but there are some other actions that you can do. For instance, you can also fuse gems to create various other different things. You can only fuse gems, you can't fuse cards. Why? Who knows? But anywho, once you complete this, you're going to be able to draw a new substance card, and you're racing to get to 10 points. Once you get to 10 points, you will be the winner of the game. And that, in a nutshell, is how Elements is played. Alrighty then, Elements from Rampage Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the pro side, the game is shortish. You know, it says it takes about 25 minutes to play, and when you're playing the lower player counts, that's just about right. Also, the gameplay itself is relatively simple. I mean, it is a pretty simple game, so if you're looking for a filler-ish game, this is that. It comes in a box and not a bag, you know, that's always a good thing, and that's what I got. Moving on to the cons, Elements is one of the worst games I think I've ever played. It had us laughing so hard we were crying as we mocked the rules. Yes, I'm not joking here. I actually made a list of my problems with the game because I wanted to make sure I remembered them all. I never do this. I'm always off the cuff. I'm always off the script. I just pull it out of my brain. But this one, I really wanted to cover everything that was wrong with this game because it just boggles my mind. How just weird this game is and how the rules are just, they make no sense sometimes. So first and foremost, 2 to 4 players, very restricted player count. Artwork wise, the artwork is very bland and generic. Some of the gems, the blue and the green, they can look very similar, especially on a darker table. So let's get to the other stuff. The substance cards. I don't see how these are balanced at all. You can start off with a 1-pointer, and yes, you only need 3 to complete it. But then at the same time, you can start off with, say, this 2-pointer, and you need 4 to complete it, but then you also get a green gem, and you can use that gem to merge stuff. Or you might get the car, which is worth 4 points, and you get 2 gems when you complete it, and it only cost you 5. So how does that work? I'm sure there's some balance here with how the cards work out, but it just didn't feel balanced. You're always going to want to get those big pointers. Always. There's never a circumstance where I'd be like, yeah, I'm hoping to get one of those cheap ones, unless it's at the very end of the game. So it felt like the substance cards were imbalanced. There's also the randomness of the draw. You get very frustrated because you're like, all I need is 1 water. And then you'll draw fire and air and fire and this and that and this and that and this and that. And then it gets into this game where you're just like, I cannot get the card I want. And you're like, yeah, but you can fuse gems. But here's the thing, the gems go away once you use them. And I don't understand why. It just slows down the game to a screeching halt. And that's annoying. So this is a direct quote from the rulebook. All element cards are gems in hand or in play are subject to all dice outcomes, and the meta gem cannot be taken from dice outcomes or removed from a substance if it is the only element in play. Those 2 rules directly contradict each other. So it's saying you can, all element cards and all element gems in hand or in play are subject to all dice outcomes. Oh, wait. Actually, later in the rule booklet, we changed our mind. The meta gems are special. You can't take those away. But you can take it away. You can only not take it away if it's the only gem on the card. So the rule contradicts the rule contradicts the rule, and it's, oh man, just bizarre. Okay, so the first element on a card must be a primary unless you don't need them, then go at it. Which is another way where I felt like this was imbalanced. So for instance, look at that 1-point card. It only costs 3, but on your first turn, you can only put 1. But if you have a card, a substance card, that only has secondary elements on it, and you happen to have all those secondary elements in your hand or gems or whatnot, you just be like, now, there's points. Give me gems. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's not balanced. It doesn't feel balanced. So, continuing on. First element on a card, I'm assuming because they're so, okay. A player's turn ends at their discretion, and we had a lot of fun with this. And by we, I mean a couple people at my table just laughing at what that even meant. Because we're like, no, I'm not done with my turn. And then you just sit there and be like, I'm going to go to my bathroom, and then I'll be done with my turn. I don't think I've ever seen that in a rule booklet. Someone say, you can be done when you want to. Okay, that's dumb. Doesn't make any sense. All right. The gems go out of play. I mentioned a little bit earlier. Why do the gems go out of play? Why? It slows down the game exponentially, and it's annoying. And yeah, if you are crazy and you want to get this game, or if you already have this game and you're disappointed, house rule it so the gems stay in play, and it will speed up the game by about 5 to 15 minutes. Woohoo! So, can you get a metagem from completing a substance? I assume no, but the rule booklet says after completion of a substance, a player chooses 1 element gem from the center of the table. So it says that you get to take 1 from the center of the table. So then I went back to the front of the rules of the contents of the game, and it says that this is an element gem. So by clarifying the rule booklet that this is not just a regular, average, everyday gem that you can take after that. You need to clarify. Oh my gosh. Okay, we got 2 more. A substance cannot contain only special element cards. Okay, so you can't have only special element cards, but it can contain only gems. If you break that rule, the cards are discarded. Really? Just say you can't do it. This says, oh, if you do it, you just lose all the cards. So why don't you just save yourself a sentence and say, you can't do it, because it's against the rules. But then again, that poses the obvious question of why can't you do it? And I go, who knows? Who the heck knows? Last but not least, you can fuse gems, but you can't fuse cards. Why? I don't know. because the rules say so. And that is the big problem with the rules. I don't want to say that the rule booklet is bad, but it's bad. But the main problem with the rule booklet is the fact that it doesn't make any sense at all. It's just a series of things where you're like, what? We passed the rule booklet around to all 4 different players during this first time we played. Second time, it was only 3 out of 4. It's just, the rules make no sense whatsoever. This is a terrible game, and I think if they did a second edition of the rule booklet, it could be a passable game. But as it stands right now, boring artwork, I feel like it's imbalanced cards, confusing as all get-up rule booklet, rules that drag out the game, just preposterous things. Elements for Rampage Games is an absolute stinker. Stay away from this one. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. Do you ever use the handicap stall when you go into the bathroom? Now me, I'm always paranoid that a handicapped person is going to come in and they're going to like poop their pants. I'm always paranoid about that. Ever since I was a small child, I've always worried about that. And I wanted to know if it was only me. Actually, I was watching recently an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where he addressed this exact issue, and watched partially why I love that show so much. But do you worry about that? Do you use the handicap stall, or do you wait? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.